They told her to write her name in salt water and pray. She was drowning in anxiety, trapped in a cycle of shame. 2 days later, something changed. The nightmares stopped, the heaviness lifted, and it wasn't magic. It was surrender. This isn't superstition. This is symbolic action tied deeply to Islamic tradition. What if the Qur'an is already hinting at the truth behind names, water, and the unseen healing we ignore every day? This simple act, writing your name in salt water, might carry more spiritual weight than we ever realized. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may look at your name and your soul differently forever. Stay with me until the end. What we reveal about water, names, and divine healing might shift how you see yourself forever. Before we go deeper, comment below. What do you think happens when your name disappears into salt water? Symbolic? Spiritual? Superstition? Let's discuss. Salt isn't just a seasoning. It's a sacred substance with deep roots in Islam and across global spiritual traditions. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would begin and end meals with salt. Some scholars interpret this as a way of grounding the body and spirit, stabilizing both the physical digestion and the unseen energy of a meal shared with intention. In Islam, salt is also part of ruqyah, a spiritual healing process that uses verses from the Qur'an. Salt-infused water is often recited over and sprinkled in homes to cleanse them of jinn or negative energy. It's not hocus pocus. It's faith acting through action. Many believe salt carries the weight to repel what is impure and retain what is divine. In Senegal, during certain Sufi healing ceremonies, salt is mixed with Qur'an-blessed water and sprinkled around homes to restore emotional clarity. In Indonesia, women undergoing spiritual healing bathe in salted water while reciting Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas, seeking refuge from the unseen. Salt is also symbolic of the earth, raw, unrefined, pure. And when it's mixed with water, another Quranic symbol of mercy and life, it becomes a sacred mixture of grounding and flow. This is why many believe writing your name in salt water is like placing your identity back into the hands of Allah. Dissolution becomes a form of return. Salt is more than a flavor. It's purification. What part of your life needs cleansing? Have you ever seen salt used in a religious or healing ritual? Maybe in your culture or family? Share your experience below. We might feature your story in a future episode. Real-world stories involving salt water. Across the world, salt water is no longer just for healing. It has become a medium of spiritual resistance, remembrance, and release. In places touched by war, injustice, and trauma, the act of writing names in salt water has taken on a profound and deeply human meaning. In Gaza, 2024, amid destruction, families near the sea in Gaza began a quiet ritual. Children, grieving the loss of siblings and parents, would kneel at the shoreline. With sticks, fingers, or shells, they wrote names of martyrs into wet sand where the saltwater tide would wash them away. It was their way of saying, "Ya Allah, don't let their names be forgotten. Let the sea carry their souls to mercy." In that moment, salt water became a grave, a dua, and a bridge to heaven. In Pakistan, 2023, a woman trapped in an abusive marriage, unable to find help from family or society, turned to her prayer mat. But alongside prayer, she created a new ritual. Every night, she wrote her husband's name on paper, dropped it in salt water and whispered, "Ya Adil, you are the just. Remove what is unjust from my life." It wasn't long before a neighbor noticed her bruises, offered shelter, and helped her escape. She now calls the act a spiritual exhale, not magic, but submission. Salt water didn't save her, Allah did, but it helped her believe again. In Turkey,
2023 earthquake aftermath. When homes collapsed, names were lost beneath rubble. Survivors in Hatay and Kahramanmaraş gathered at local mosques. With salt water prepared by local imams, they wrote names of missing family on slips of paper and placed them in bowls beside Qur'an recitations. Some said, "Let Allah read the names we can no longer call out loud." For them, salt water became a vessel, not just to remember the dead, but to process grief no therapist could reach. One Turkish volunteer shared, "I didn't know how to cry anymore. But when I saw my brother's name fade into the water, I cried like I hadn't in weeks. That was my prayer." These aren't isolated traditions. These are deeply human moments of symbolic surrender. When systems fail us, governments, doctors, even families, sometimes the only healing left is the symbolic kind. And in these acts, salt water becomes sacred. Maybe it's not just superstition. Maybe it's a form of tawakkul, trusting Allah enough to give your pain a name and let it dissolve in His hands. People across the world are using salt water to grieve, to release, to purify. Maybe it's not superstition. Maybe it's surrender. Have you ever done something symbolic to cope with pain? Maybe it wasn't salt water, but something else that helped you release? Share it. You're not alone, and your story may help someone else find peace. What your name means spiritually. In Islam, a name is not just a label, it's a legacy. Allah begins with names. He introduces Himself to us through the Asma'ul Husna, the 99 most beautiful names. These aren't just attributes. They are doorways into understanding the divine. The Qur'an tells us, "He created you in the wombs of your mothers, and He named you." Qur'an 53:32. Before anyone called you by your name, Allah knew it. Before you were born, your name had meaning in the unseen realm. That's how deep it goes. So when someone writes their name in salt water and watches it dissolve, it's not a trend or a trick, it's a symbol, a declaration. It could mean, "Ya Allah, strip away what the world has placed on me, the trauma, the arrogance, the fear. Return me to my essence, back to who you intended me to be." Names can carry ego. They can also carry pain. Some of us carry nicknames that became wounds. Some carry names we no longer recognize because life changed us too much. And sometimes we carry names given in love, but we've forgotten how to live up to them. Writing your name in salt water might be your way of saying, "This is me, and I'm ready to start again." Letting your name fade is letting your false self go. What part of you is ready to dissolve? What does your name mean? Does it still feel like you? Or are you in a season of rediscovery? Share what your name means to you. Your story might help someone else reclaim theirs. Names and water in the Qur'an. The Qur'an never explicitly says, "Put your name in salt water," but it constantly uses water as a symbol, a force of cleansing, rebirth, mercy, and divine transition. Water in the Qur'an is never passive. It moves, it transforms, it delivers, and often it marks the boundary between ego and surrender. Surah Taha, Musa, Moses, and the water. Allah commands Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, to throw his staff into the river and later to strike the sea to open a path for his people. These were not just miracles. They were acts of trust, acts that defied logic. Water, in this case, becomes both the path of salvation and the divider between truth and tyranny. Surah Al-Baqarah, Pharaoh and the drowning of pride. Pharaoh, symbol of ultimate ego and arrogance, was destroyed in water. His empire, his power, his name, all dissolved in the Red Sea. So we took him and his soldiers and threw them into the sea. So see how was the end of the wrongdoers. 250. His story is a warning. Water doesn't just give life. It also removes what defies Allah. Surah Al-Furqan, the essence of life. and we made from water every living thing. 25:54. Water is more than a symbol. It's a divine ingredient of creation itself. The same water that surrounds a fetus in the womb is the water Allah created as the source of your physical and spiritual beginning. Surah Maryam, the naming of Yahya. When Prophet Zechariah, peace be upon him, prayed for a child, Allah answered not just with life, but with a name. We gave him the name Yahya, a name we had never given before. 19:7. This shows that names in the Qur'an aren't random. They're gifts, sometimes unprecedented, tied to purpose and legacy. So imagine placing your name, your identity, into water, just as these stories did. You're not erasing yourself. You're submitting yourself to divine transformation. Maybe salt water is your symbolic Red Sea, your cleansing womb, your act of trust. And just like Pharaoh's name dissolved in arrogance, maybe you're letting go of pride. Or maybe, like Musa, you're trusting the water to carry you to a new shore. Like Zechariah, you're praying for a new identity, something never written before. The Qur'an is full of divine acts using water. Is your name next? Which Quranic water story speaks to you the most? Is it Musa's escape, Zechariah's miracle, or Pharaoh's downfall? Tell us in the comments. Your insight might help someone else see their story in the Qur'an. Ritual challenge. Write your name in salt water. Let's move from story to action. If you've ever felt the weight of a name, yours or someone else's, this is your chance to symbolically release what no longer serves you. This ritual is not a replacement for dua or salah. It's a supplemental act of reflection rooted in intention, presence, and surrender. Interactive guide, your saltwater ritual. Step 1. Write your full name on a piece of paper. Let it be the name you carry daily, your spoken self, the one people call, the one you may have learned to love or fear. Step 2. Prepare a bowl of warm water with 1 spoon of salt. Sea salt if possible, natural, unprocessed. This is your vessel of purification. Step 3. Submerge your name slowly and whisper this prayer, Ya Allah, remove what doesn't belong. Purify me. Return me to my fitra. Step 4. Watch it dissolve. Sit with the feeling. Let the silence speak. Reflect. What faded? What stayed? What are you truly ready to release? This isn't about magic. It's about meaning. Salt water won't change your life, but your intention might. And as you do this weekly, you may find something remarkable. It's not your name that disappears. It's your burdens, the labels, the pain, the expectations. Let them melt. Try this once a week for 3 weeks. You might find it's not your name that disappears, but your burdens. Film yourself doing this ritual and tag # saltwater dua. We'll feature the most powerful reflections in our next episode, or just share what you felt in the comments. Your journey matters. Modern emotional relevance. Today's psychologists and spiritual healers agree, rituals matter. Not because they magically fix our problems, but because they create space for healing. When grief, trauma, or change overwhelms the mind, symbolic acts give the heart a language of release. In Islam, names are sacred. They're not just identification, they're invocation, legacy, and sometimes burden. When you write your name and dissolve it in salt water, you're simulating something powerful, letting go of the parts of you that no longer serve your soul. In a recent 2024 study at the University of Jordan, researchers looked at symbolic spiritual practices among Muslim youth. They found that even simple acts of symbolic surrender, like writing a name and watching it dissolve, improved spiritual well-being by 30% over a 21-day period.
The participants said the ritual made their prayers feel more embodied, more real. It helped them externalize inner struggle. This practice isn't about changing your name. It's about purifying how you relate to it. If your name has carried pain, shame, or old versions of yourself, maybe it's time to release that energy. Ritual gives you permission to say, "That was me, but I'm ready for something new." Let the water hold your pain. Let Allah hold your name. What do you want to let go of today? Write it anonymously if you need. You never know who might be inspired by your courage. Modern reflections. Identity versus fitra. In the digital age, we create identities like we're designing avatars in a game. We craft usernames, curate bios, and use filters to present a version of ourselves to the world. But what happens when you take away all the noise, no usernames, no curated profile, no likes, and face your real name? Submerging your name in salt water is an invitation to let go of the layers you've built up. You let Allah see you, the raw version, beyond social media status, beyond past trauma, and beyond your personal filters. The Qur'an reminds us that we were all created with a natural state of purity, fitra. It's the essence of who we are before the world tells us who to be. In our everyday lives, it's easy to forget that core truth. We're bombarded by society's expectations, our jobs, or our digital presence. We start performing identities, but the moment you dissolve your name in water, you are giving yourself a chance to return to that original, untainted form, to the self Allah created before the world's influence. In a world of avatars and hashtags, your true name is sacred, just like your fitra. The act of writing it down and watching it disappear is a symbolic surrender. You're saying, "I want to return to who I really am, to the essence Allah intended before everything else." The internet gave you one name. Maybe salt water gives you back your real one. If you could change your name to reflect your soul, what would it be? Drop it below. No filters, just truth. Call to action. This is more than just a video. It's an invitation to something deeper. You've heard the stories, the teachings, and the reflection. Now it's your turn. Go get some salt. Write your full name on a piece of paper. Submerge it in the water. Say, Bismillah, in the name of Allah. And then ask Him, Ya Allah, what do you want to keep? What should fade? This isn't just about watching, it's about doing. Taking this symbolic step, writing your name, dissolving it in water, might just be the beginning of a larger transformation. It's a spiritual practice, a way to confront the layers of ego, trauma, and past burdens we've been carrying. Trust in the power of small acts. This moment may lead to something real. You don't know how the water might dissolve parts of you that were never meant to stay. Don't just watch, do. Take this symbolic step. It may lead to something real. Post your saltwater moment or share your story below. You'll inspire someone else to take their own step of healing. Your courage might be the spark someone else needs. Final reflection. The Qur'an reminds us, to Him belong the most beautiful names. 7:18-0. Every name has a divine origin. A soul's true essence is tied to what Allah calls it, beyond what the world sees. And maybe, just maybe, as your name dissolves in salt water, it's your soul whispering, Ya Allah, give me a name you love. A name free from ego, free from pain, a name that speaks directly to the Creator. May your name be light. May your name be heard by Allah. May your name not only be remembered on paper, but written in the book of the righteous. As you reflect on this journey, think of the name you want to leave behind, not just for those who know you, but for the one who created you. The water may fade your name, but your connection to Allah is eternal. And when that name is called, it will echo in a realm beyond this world. If this moved you, share it with someone whose name you carry in your heart. Let them know you're thinking of them. Sometimes, the most profound moments are shared through simple acts of care.